Hello, everybody.
Good afternoon, and welcome to Wednesday afternoon. Just about Wednesday afternoons live. Hope everybody's well. So today we're going to talk about intention and why that's an important ingredient, not just for you as a person in your life, but for you as a coach in your business, and how understanding what intention means and applying attention in your business will help you grow, create impact with your clients, and make money. Because we're in a business, we want to be making money, right? So I'll kick this off, right, with what intention is. And I'm going to give you guys, I promised in the blurb that I'm going to give you guys an exercise to do as well, which will help you to be more intentional with who you are being and why that's important. So what I would say first off is you as a person. Why is it important that you live your life intentionally? What does it mean and why is it important? Now, for me, living intentionally, and this is something whoever's listening to this, I'd encourage you to think about how this would apply to you. Before I lived intentionally, what would happen is I would get up in the morning, I'd go about my day, and I would just do what I was always used to doing. I'd react to the same things. I'd have the same opinions of things. And I would unknowingly rely on my pre-programming. I'd rely on the conditioning that I already had about myself and about the world around me. Nothing wrong with that, not a criticism. But what I started to notice that what I wanted was often outside of that. So I wanted to earn more money, for example, but I felt really uncomfortable about doing that. So what I get used to doing, and me and Lisa, this is something we both do, right, is to set some intentions for your day. So let's, an example of this is an exercise you guys could do. You wake up in the morning, the first thing you do is to set 1, 2, maybe 3 intentions for yourself and what you want to live into that day. So it might be more bold, more brave, more courageous, whatever that looks like. The reason that's important is because if we don't set that intention, if we don't bring some conscious thought, some awareness to who we're being in the day, we will default back to who we were the day before. And that allows us to grow. It allows us to step into something new. And that is a really, really fundamental, actually, I'm not going to say useful, I'm going to say fundamental practice in growing a business. So
it's a good, just on that point, Sam, because we get asked a lot about motivation.
Yeah.
And this is one thing where people are like, how do I motivate myself when I don't feel like doing something?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's how, like, being really deliberate and intentional about who we're being in each moment of that day. So making that commitment to, yeah, I'm going to show up courageous and brave or whatever it is. Like, that's how you don't need to wait for motivation. You purposely create who you are being and what your intention is for that day.
Yeah, bang on. And that word you've used there is like commitment. You know, we can rely on motivation, but if we do, we're screwed because at some point it's going to go. So it's finding what we're committed to rather than what we're motivated by in that moment is super, super important. And that intention, when we make that commitment, yeah, it'll carry us through. But that slips over as well. So the second part of this live is about how this applies to you in your business. So that's the first part, which is who you're being in your life, in yourself. And when you move into a coaching business and you're developing who you are in a coaching business, the same thing applies. But what we want to think about is how that applies in each step of growing a business. I'm going to give you an example. And this is a personal share. I'm picking on myself today, actually. I feel like I'm giving myself a hard time, but it's useful because I think it gives context, right? So let's talk about connecting with people. So we've just created a connection handout, right? Otherwise known as how to create leads in your business, for example. So we've created a connection handout. Now, if you haven't had that and you want it, let us know in the comments and we'll send it to you. So connection is the first step in creating clients, building relationships. And something that I noticed when I was connecting with people, really when I first started, when I was connecting with people, I'd kind of find it a bit icky. So I might start having a conversation with somebody and I would hold back on asking them questions about their business in case it came across as salesy, in case it came across as icky, in case they're like, oh, he wants something from me. Now, what I've noticed and what's been really helpful for me, and I know Lisa, the coaches that we work with, is to check in with the intention behind what you're doing. Now, yes, if my intention at the time, my intention was to, yeah, I want to make money out of this person, and of course it's going to feel icky. But if I really check in with what is my intention and what do I want it to be, which is to really help this person, it's to serve this person, it's to make a difference to their day, like a significant difference to their day, how then would I show up? And that really helped me to develop who I am as a coach, but also to really think about the context of my life and where I'm coming from when I'm speaking to people. And that really helped to break down some of the stories and develop a professional sense of, believe it or not, Sam, the professional coach, to develop a sense of professionalism in what I'm doing. I'm not talking there. Is there anything you want to add?
Not necessarily to that piece. I mean, what I shared earlier with you, Sam, around having service as your compass point. So what you just touched on there was like having that as my compass point allowed me to get over my ickiness, because it's like I wasn't putting my focus and attention on I want money from them. It was like my intention was different. It was like, how do I really change this person's life? Like, how do I offer something that's gonna, I don't mean offer, but like, how do I have them experience something that's really gonna make a difference to them?
Yeah.
And the other thing that occurred to me as we were coaching someone was we encourage people to be really unattached. So yes, you need clients, but you don't need that client in front of you right now, right? It's like, yes, we need money, but we don't need that person's money. So really encouraging people to come from a point of unattachment, because when we're like thinking about, can they afford me? Are they going to say yes? What could they possibly throw back at me that I could then have to, deflect? Or like when we're getting into that headspace, it's not helpful and we're moving away from service. So again, it's like we really encourage people to be unattached and grow their business, really unattached to working with anybody, any one specific person, and stay in service. And that is what's going to create your business. And that is what's going to create wealth and income and clients. And then what we can see sometimes is that unattachment, there's an understanding or an interpretation. It's like we're kind of missing each other as it's being heard like, I don't care, right? I'm so unattached now, I don't care. And which is okay on its own, but it's when it gets to, I don't care, so I come away from service. That's the bit that I want to point to. Unattachment does not mean stepping out of service. So we could say, let's say we're in a really good financial position. And it's like, well, I don't need the money. Like, I don't need that client. But what we can see in that conversation is, man, there is something here that if we could do this together, this is going to change their world. Like, or they're really struggling with something right now, and I know I can help them with that. But if they say no, and we're in this unattached place of, I don't need the money, we've gone out of service and we've gone into, well, I don't need it, so I'm not going to offer. Whereas if we stay in service, and again, this is a choice whether you want to do this or not, but if we stay in service, words that might come out of my mouth at that point are, let's talk again anyway. Let's see if we can really help you with that. Let's set up some time. And so it's like an attachment does not mean giving up on someone.
No, it doesn't mean not caring at all.
Yeah. I felt like it was important to share because it was something that we were seeing and I wanted the opportunity to clear it up. Yeah,
definitely. Perfect. I think the other thing I want to mention here as well is kind of part of what you're saying, Lisa, as well, is that it can be easy to jump too far ahead with this. This is a really helpful self-reflection tool to check in with where is my intention at. And it can be a really useful personal growth tool as well, because we get to see, is my action or are my actions aligned with my intention? And if not, what's going on for me? I get to check in, I get to see that. It's like, oh, okay, I'm seeing a bit of this is uncomfortable here, there's a bit of a story here. And just again, just instead of it being like, how do I get rid of that? It's just, how do I show up just 5% more, with 5% more boldness, 5% more courageousness, 5% more bravery here. And that will have you growing. Whereas otherwise, what can happen is we say, are my actions aligned with my intention? And we can sometimes jump too far ahead. Be like, right, I'm just going to go into this session and let them have it, which can be great, but also just something to be aware of. It's a really helpful self-reflection tool, just to see what's going on for you. So I think that's it. I'm empty.
You talked about an exercise.
Yes. Well, I did mention it at the beginning, but I didn't make it very clear. Good reminder. So what we'd encourage you to do, if you've made it this far in the live, is to starting from now, really, whenever you're listening to this, whether it's morning, afternoon, or the evening, starting from now, what is your intention? What intentions are you going to live into for the rest of this day? So it might just be one thing. It might just be, again, it can be anything that's relevant to you. It might be more boldness. It might be to be more honest. It might be to be just a little bit more uncomfortable, to be willing to be more uncomfortable today. Like whatever that looks like, whatever be most helpful to you, do that now and see what happens for the rest of the day. A really great time to do that is first thing in the morning when you wake up. Before that kind of pre-programming, you've got a chance to just go and run your day. Set your intention, write it down, and keep it somewhere where you can see it as a reminder. I don't know about you, Lisa, the more I've done that, the less I've needed the reminder, because it's just there. It's just there. But when I first started doing this kind of thing, it was really helpful to have that reminder.
Yeah.
So I
want to say, like, do it and really do it and see the difference it makes, because everything we're sharing here, this is what you can do with your clients. So if your client wants to create something and you're stuck in this circle or cycle of they're saying that they want to do this, and yet each week you're having the same conversation around the imposter syndrome, or the procrastination or the perfectionism or something else. It's like, when you experience the difference this makes, you'll have more confidence to bring that into the session and encourage your clients to do that.
Yeah.
So see the link between what we're sharing with you and you experiencing it and the impact that you're going to have as a coach.
Yeah, perfect. So the image that just came to mind as you said that was, it's like when we wake up in the morning, we have a blank page. It's completely blank. But for most of us, what we do is we turn the old page back over and keep rereading that. So we turn the page, we get this beautiful, fresh, clean page. We can still remember the day before, we still remember the page before, but we're focusing on this clean page and what we want it to look like, what we want it to say, and the story to be. And so it just came to mind, so I wanted to offer it. So yeah, that's it, guys. Let us know, or come back to us. We're both really curious to know what you're hearing this live that's helpful. If you want the handout, if you haven't already had it, about connections, let us know. Put it in the comments that you like it, and we will get it across to you. Otherwise, live your week, day, minute, second intentionally, and we will see you next week.